Let me just put the recording.
Oh, Dick.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening, folks. I'd like to welcome everybody to the March 15th meeting of the Laconia Zoning Board of Adjustments.
20 minutes. 20.
And with that, I have a thing I have to read. I guess I still have to read it. Yeah. Okay. Due to the COVID-19 crisis, in accordance with the Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12 and Executive Order 2020-04, this meeting is to be conducted electronically. Public participation, you're invited to a Zoom webinar when March 15th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. thereabouts, Eastern Time. Laconia Zoning Board of Adjustment. The public has access to listen to and participate in this meeting by using the following link. And do I have to read the link? No. Okay, thank you. Listen only is call 646-558-8656 or 301-715-8592. Use this option only allows you to listen to the meeting with no opportunity to participate. The webinar ID is 811-491-0224. For problems, please call 603-524-3877, extension 249, or email zoning@laconianewhampshire.gov. Is there a password for this?
There is no password.
Okay, there be no password, folks, so just jump right on in. And to view this thing, YouTube in the city of Laconia is youtube.com/Laconia, New Hampshire. Okay, with that, I'd like to call to order. And we just did that. Roll call.
Okay, roll call. Roland Mayhew,
Here.
Michael Foot,
Here.
Stephen Bogert,
Here.
Gail Ober,
Here.
Michael Delavecchia,
Here.
Marcia Hayward,
Here.
and Jane LaRoche.
Here.
And with that being said, Jane, I'd like to welcome you. I'm Steve. I'm the this year's chairman of the zoning board, and I'd like to welcome you aboard.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to the recording secretary.
Recording Secretary Karen Santoro, staff in attendance is Dean Trefethan.
Okay. We did the attendance, acceptance of the minutes from the previous meeting dated February 16th, 2020. Everybody get an opportunity to review the minutes? Good. And if so, is everybody happy with the minutes? Gail, you happy?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. I got to remember I'm looking at folks here and I got to speak to you directly. So forgive me, Gail.
That's all right.
Okay. So if everybody is okay with it, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
So moved.
We have a second discussion of the minutes. There being none, I'll do a roll call. Gail,
Yes.
Mike,
Accept.
Mike,
Yes.
Roland. Abstain. And Steve, yes. So the minutes pass. Okay, we're gonna move on to extensions. We have extensions. We have 4 extensions from Aqua Vista. Looks like 1, 2, 3 extensions with Aqua Vista LLC. Is there a proprietor on Zoom?
Yes, I'm here.
And would you introduce yourself for the record and tell how we can, let me read the ones in there. It's the first one's for 664 Scenic Road Special Extension Request. The next one is 63-99 Fletcher Lane Special Extension Request. And then the last one, 6399 Fletcher Lane Extension Request. Introduce yourself for the record and tell us how we can help.
Good evening, everyone. Chris Dupree on behalf of the applicant. I think this project is familiar with most, if not all, of the members. The significant change since my last appearance for the extension was the planning board extended us for another year in October. So we're in this mid-cycle again with the zoning calendar and the planning calendar not lining up. We've laid out our request for the extension in the applications. We are continuing to try to pursue ways to get this project built. Given the current market conditions now, that's proven to be challenging, but we're still trying to move it forward. And I would be back again before this board in July for another extension to at least get us through to the planning board in October and see what they decide to do.
Okay. Any questions of the applicant?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I have one. And I understand, you need an extension, but you said due to market conditions. What is the condition? I mean, real estate is flying off the, is it a building holdup or?
It is now. A few years ago when we started out, we built that first building, Bluegill Lodge, really as kind of a test to see what the acceptance in the market would be. The real estate market was different at that time, but that building took us 5 years to sell out, and that was 24 units. And we were trying to get to a point where we had enough confidence that if we went through with this larger project, it wasn't going to be 10 years to sell it out, because that wouldn't be feasible. Then the remaining units absorbed pretty quickly as the market conditions improved, and the cost of the construction now has skyrocketed. So, the lead time from the day we break ground to when we can actually have units to sell will be about 2 years to get a building up and ready to move in. So we've really been doing this juggling game to try to time, find a way to build it affordably and time it correctly so that, we don't end up bringing the markets on and, and the real estate market is turned upside down again on us.
Okay. So I just had to ask because I'm under the impression that real estate is just flying off, and I understand these units aren't built, but you have a pre-sale program, correct?
We do not yet in place.
Oh, all right. That answers my question.
Yep.
Okay. I have no problem with the extension. I just wanted to understand why in this hot market you weren't moving forward. And I understand now that I believe it's construction costs. And I can't predict the future as far as them coming down, but I didn't realize you didn't have a program in place.
In hindsight, I wish we had those units now, for sure.
I agree. All right. Well, I mean, that's beyond that. it's beyond the purview, it's your business and it's not within the realm of the zoning board. So you've answered my question. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anybody else got any questions of the applicant at this time? There being none, I'd like to go ahead and open it up to the public and ask if anybody from the public wishes to speak for or against these extensions. Please shake your hand on the Zoom and allow the planning director a moment to acknowledge you.
These are just extensions, there's no public hearing, correct? Yeah, they're just extensions. There's no public hearing.
Okay,
Nobody.
all right. So with that, I'll bring it back to the board, and anybody on the board have any other questions? Any closing comments from the applicant?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll vote on these individually, with the first one being 664 Scenic Road Special Exception Extension Request.
Oh, wait, I was gonna make a motion to approve all these. Do we have to do this individually, Mr. Chair?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the request for the extension to the special exception for 664 Scenic Road. I don't have any application numbers on my application, so I have no idea which application I'm making this motion on. I have,
The first one, 664, Gail,
it's
Scenic
6,
Road.
oh, okay, I see, 664 Scenic Road.
Yes,
I make a motion, we extend that for, was it 6 months? By our
It would expire
policy,
July 31st.
July
Ju-
31st.
July 31st.
Okay,
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second, discussion of the motion. There being none. Gail, how do you vote?
yes,
Mike,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Steve, yes, Mike.
Yes.
Okay, that one passes 5-0. Okay, the next one is going to be on the agenda is 7.11. Its address is 63-99 Fletcher Lane, special exception. Yeah, would you like to?
I'll make a motion that we approve to extend the variance or, okay, this is the special exception, and moved we extend the special exception for 63 through 99 Fletcher Lane until July 1st.
Check that date,
Is that the right date?
July 31st.
July 31st,
July
isn't it?
1st, I'm sorry.
The record indicate July 31st.
First, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and because there are no numbers involved, would you allow that to be from our agenda 7.11?
Yes,
Okay, so we have a motion. We got a second?
Second.
We have a second. All right, I'll call the roll on it. Gail,
yes,
Mike,
Accept.
Roland,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Steve, yes. That one passes. The next one is 7.111, 63-99 Fletcher Lane. Gail,
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the extension for the variance 63-99, agenda item 7.111 for until July 31st.
we have a motion, second.
I'll second that.
We have a second. Discussion? None? I'll call the roll. Gail,
Yep,
Mike,
Accept.
Roland,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Steve, yes. Okay, those all pass.
Thank you.
And thank you, and we'll see you a little bit later in the meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next on the agenda is boom, boom. Number 10, Sweet Briarway Variance Extension Request. And Mr. Billiard is here.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This is a variance that the board granted last year, and it was having to do with the percentage of lot coverage of 10 Sweetbriar Way. The lot changed hands. The new owner, Auxilium LLC, has plans to build a new home this coming 2021 building season, and we need to extend the variance for that purpose.
Okay. Any questions? What would be the extension date for this?
Be for a year, Mr. Chairman. And the prior approval was dated 4/22/2019.
It's 6 months.
6 months? Okay.
So
Or
that
20
also,
Put you to October. They expire in April, so it'd be to October of this year of 2021.
October. Is there a certain date in October?
Typically, we go the last date of the month, so October 31.
Okay.
It's not 31 days in October.
Yeah, there is.
It's October 31st.
Oh, you're
Days, that's done.
Sure you want us to roll more on this, Phil, huh?
right.
Okay. So, any questions of the applicant?
No.
Just want everything remains the same,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
just a new band playing the song.
Well, correct.
Okay. With that, if there's no other questions, I'd like to entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept this extension for 10 Sweetbriar Way
Okay,
until, and extend it to October 2021, October 31st.
all right. We have a motion, we have a second.
That was, okay. That was
Roland?
Roland. Yep.
Any discussion of the motion? There being none, I'm gonna call the roll. Mike,
Accept?
Roland,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Gail,
Yep.
Steve, yes. Okay, that one passes. Have another extension here for 29 Sweetbriar Way, variance extension.
Yes, we're requesting an extension. Basically, this lot was under agreement with some new buyers that want to build a new home on it. And one of the things that we needed to do in order to satisfy them that they wanted to buy it was to get an extension so they'd have time to build a house. And so that's what we'd like to try to do. And that was the same ordinance, that was the same that we did these together when we did them, and we raised the lot coverage to around 23% to accommodate both houses being built.
Any questions of the applicant? Gail, you good?
Yeah, so, okay, so I don't recall this one, but so this is two separate houses on what looks like two separate lot numbers?
Yes, in the Rosedown subdivision of Southdown. And
Oh,
and basically what happened, Gail, is when they built the other 10 units, there was a total of 12. They built the other 10 units, they used up all the lot coverage, not leaving enough lot coverage for the other two houses. So I came in representing both lots, and the board granted us a variance of about 23% or 23 point something percent in order to be able to build the similar footprint of the similar unit on the two lots. And this is just the extension on
Okay.
29 Sweetbriar, the prior one being lot 10.
Thank you. I have no further questions. I just wanted to clarify that in my own mind.
Yeah, I remember it now. Any other questions of the applicant? There being none, I'd like to entertain a motion for 29 Sweetbriar Way.
I'll make a motion that we accept the extension for 29 Sweetbriar Way. And that should go again until October 31st, 2021.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second that. Do we?
We have a second discussion. There being none, I'll call the roll. Gail?
Yep.
Mike?
Accept.
Roland?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Steve? Yes.
Have a good
Okay.
evening. Thank you very much.
Good night, Phil.
As we're moving right along at light speed.
Wait.
Okay, we're gonna move right into public hearings. Do I need to give you a minute, Dean? Nope, then we'll go ahead and get started. First application of the public hearing is Z020021-0003. It's a variance for 7 Foster Ave. Applicant is requesting a variance from Article 6, Section 235-35B, side and rear side setbacks, and Article 6, Section 235-36,
Should be Lionel Berthium
green, to allow for the
or Marlene Austin.
demolition and reconstruction of a single-family home with rear setback reduced from 15 feet to 10 feet, left side reduced from 10 feet to 7 feet, and reduce required green space from 60% to 51%. The applicants on Zoom, please introduce yourself for the record and tell us how we might help you.
He should be coming up. He's online.
Hello, this is Lionel Berthium.
Ah, there he is.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, my name is Lionel Berthium, and I'm the one applying for the variance. I came before the board about maybe less than a year ago. I was looking to do an addition on my house there at 7 Foster. We started the project of doing the addition and kind of ran into some issues with, the foundation needing to be shored up before we put the addition. And when we went through all of the options to firm up the foundation of the main part of the house, we realized cost effectiveness that it was probably not going to be good money to spend. So we're trying to now put in a modular home, which would be a new home. And with that, we're just looking for, because we have such a small space and from being as old as it is, we're just looking to get a little extra footprint so that we can put a new modular home in. It's not much bigger than the original home, but with the envelope, it'll be in a different position.
Is the new home going to have a basement to it?
Yes, the new home would have a basement.
Is a new home 1 story or 2 story? Hello?
Yes,
Is the new home going to be 1 story or 2 stories?
it's a 2-story, just like the existing home. I did try to put a copy of the house plans. The second floor to start out will be unfinished. And that's the way it comes from the modular company. And, you know, I would, you know, once everything got settled in, you know, it would just be just an additional, probably like a TV or rec room upstairs. The main floor is the main structure with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a kitchen, living room, dining room.
This has city water and sewer to it already?
That is correct.
I'm looking at the picture of what you got now. What about that little outbuilding? Are you taking that down, that little shed?
Yeah, I would take that down because now I'll have a basement, so I can store whatever I need to in the basement. So there would be no outbuildings to the new property.
Okay, so, and then it looks like the same thing goes to on the side of your lot that abuts Cornerstone Christian Fellowship. It appears that, is there an outbuilding or something there that's on the?
No, the plans that the zoning board had when I bought the house back in 2008 actually showed that second outbuilding, but it's never been there since I've been there.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm just looking at the map you've drawn and I'm just trying to get a handle, and I'm sorry, I don't remember this from last year.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, the only outbuilding was is a shed at the end of the driveway, and that would come down, and I would have no need for outbuildings.
And you're still maintaining the right of way on the west side of the building? Walking,
But yeah, for now, I'm still gonna maintain that. I don't really know how to change that. I think I would have to go through a legal counsel for that. It's not really a big deal. I think that right of way was put in a long time ago when there were houses behind mine that weren't on another street, but now the houses that are behind, they rarely use that right of way anyway. So for now, it would stay unless I went legal matters to try to change it. But at this point here, I have no plans to do that.
are you removing, you'll have a few trees there on this property. How many of the trees are removing? Everything?
We shouldn't have to remove any trees.
Really?
With that, because the trees are all around the very outlaying of the property. And they're also very beautiful in the fall.
I guess I don't have any questions. So it looks like you just, never mind. I have a question for staff, but I'll save it for the staff portion of this.
Any other questions at the moment? There being none, I'd like to open it up to the public and ask if anybody from the public wish to speak for or against this application, please push or raise your hand and give a moment for the planning director to acknowledge. Let the record indicate no one from the public wishes to speak for or against this application. Therefore, I bring it back to the board for any further questions. There being none, any closing comments, sir?
No, I just really appreciate the opportunity to put this new modular in. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'll close it to the public and open it up just for the board itself to have a discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Maybe Dean can talk to this a little bit. I vaguely remember this, and I'd like to know what we approved before in terms of the variance and how this is different.
We approved in the rear, they were going to add, I don't remember, it was
It was a
another,
second floor.
no, it was
Yeah,
the,
it was increasing
second
the bulk
floor.
of the nonconformity.
Yeah. They were increasing the bulk of the nonconformity. This is, this house is a little bit bigger, but for the most part, he's stayed out of the setbacks, and the current house is almost 2 stories. It's like 1 3/4, and by the picture of the new modular, it's a 1.5 story. So it's kind of a nice trade-off.
Okay, so the only thing we approved the last time was a second story.
An encroachment in the rear setback for that
Yeah.
second story, yes.
Yeah, in
Okay,
the
is
rear.
that are we still gonna have that same encroachment in the rear setback?
I think what he's applying for now is a rear setback adjustment from 15 feet to 10 feet. So there's a 15-foot
right, you're
rear
right. I
setback
apologize.
now, and he wants to make it 10 feet. The previous variance would not apply to this house, would it, Dean?
Well, the variance goes with the land, but the previous variance was even closer to the rear property line, so it's going to become less non-conforming.
Okay, and was there any change to the side setback, Dean?
No,
No,
So
So-
that's the new part of this.
Okay, so in other words, this is new. We're going from 10 feet to 7 feet.
Yes, ma'am.
and then
That we, yeah, okay. And then we're reducing.
and
the-
lot coverage.
Right, and we're reducing lot coverage. That is pretty obvious. I have a question that maybe Steve can answer this, because you guys are more in tune with construction than I am. A modular house is set in size. I mean, like, remember we had the porch discussion and you educated me on the 14-foot planks as opposed to 12-foot planks, which is a standard construction measure that I did not know until you educated me on that. Do you know anything at all? Does anyone on this board know anything about modular homes and how they're bought, whether they have a set standard size?
They come in,
box, like a box.
they're like a box. They come in 2 different widths. They're usually 12 or 14.
Right,
14 is the maximum that you can get down the highway.
right?
Looks like this is 2 12s.
It's 27 feet, 27 and a half, so it's probably two 14s.
2 14s.
Okay, so no, this is 2 14s
Yeah.
as opposed to 2 12s.
Correct. And in the modular home construction business, they usually use engineered lumber and things like that. So the standard, 12-foot length versus, say, the next one up, usually 16, they're probably making their own dimensional lumber out of, they're gluing things together and all that stuff.
Okay, that was really my question, is just some things that are modular in nature come in set sizes. It's not like a stick built where he could adjust this.
Well, a lot of your newer
See, this is what I don't,
modular homes are still built like with 2x6 construction versus your mobile homes and stuff, which are 2x3 and 2x4 construction. So, and with the newer ones, they piece the two. It's once they're put together, you can't really tell the difference between a home that is stick-built or a modular home that is stick-built,
Oh, I understand that.
other than the joint going down inside.
Okay. It was the standardization of measurement that I was wondering about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure in a modular, you can get any size you want under
Okay.
the 14, but you know, they're set up to do, just like everybody else, they're set up to do standard stuff. So it's, most of them are 12 or 14. I'm sure if you needed something special, they could do that, but
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
It's a lot of coverage, but you know, they're really tiny lots, so it kind of goes with the area.
I think over there in that neighborhood's gonna be interesting to see them get it in
To get
there.
in there.
Well, yeah, there's that, but that's not our problem.
No, but them roads aren't that big. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
they're
understand. that.
barely
If
14.
he can't get it in, he can't get it in. I'm not gonna sweat over that one. That's his problem. I guess my question is, and this is a rhetorical question, and perhaps I should be asking the applicant in this, is there a reason you didn't go with the smaller one? And that would reduce the green space, reduce the encroachment on the green space. I know this is a small lot, so. But
Do you want me to respond to that?
I do.
Okay. Yeah, we looked at a lot of different modular homes. And, you know, if I go any smaller, I'm not going to be able to get like a 3-bedroom in there, which is kind of what my original house was, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. And, you know, I really am kind of at that's kind of like a small, that Sunrise that I picked is a pretty small modular. You know, if you go out and look at the modulars there. So, and even to do what I'm doing, I've actually reduced that modular by 2 feet. So they're going to custom make that to be 2 feet shorter from front to back. So I'm just trying to, you know, have a house that is going to be good for us in, you know, for many years to come. And, you know, that was the house that we came up with that really kind of best fits the envelope that was originally there, and we're just kind of overstepping it by a little bit, and that's why we went with that particular house. There's also not a lot of modulars that are designed front to back like that. A lot of them are designed now like side to side, you know, almost like a duplex or that type of thing. So I didn't have a ton of choices, but that one really seemed to be a pretty nice fit. It also kind of looks like the house that's there, so it fits into the neighborhood well.
Thank you.
Okay,
Oh, does the porch come with the modular, or are you building that on in his addition?
The contractor is putting the porch on as an addition.
Oh, okay, but that's not in the front setback anyway, is it? No?
No.
No,
Yeah.
okay, then never mind. All right, thank you.
okay, any other discussion?
Within the board or,
Well, that's where we were, Gail.
oh, okay, well, I'm sorry, I had to ask that question because it makes me, it's,
That's okay.
I mean, yeah, as for to the other board members and as to how I feel about this. I guess what my first hang up is that economics and the cost of construction are not really a variance standard if you go with the B criteria in the sub paragraph. And this is getting hyper technical, but it's what we're here for. Um, Does that make any sense? I mean, there is a hardship in the size of the lot, but is there if he went with a smaller module? I guess is what I'm trying to say. Are we upsetting the tea cart so he can have a third bedroom? And, or should we be asking him to scale this back? And this is a question I put to the board.
You can also go up,
What do you mean?
60 feet.
have a full second story. So you wouldn't have a smaller footprint.
Well, I understand that. This isn't a zero-sum game. This is a decision on what he's asked for. I'm just throwing that out there to the board. I mean, it affects the way I feel about this. Doesn't affect my vote necessarily. I haven't made my mind up. I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Well, there are some trade-offs, like you said, from the original house, it's a dated house with
Mhm.
probably old types of construction, wiring, fusing, and the list goes on forever. They did have already a variance in place that allowed them to go further into the rear setback, and so they're actually using less of that. And he tried to accommodate that, so that brought the rear of the house further away from the rear setback, okay? Which then should add to some of the green space loss, unfortunately. With the going to the other side to make that extension, 3 feet to 7 feet, with a public right of way right through there, it's not like they're gonna use that land for much anyway, and unless they can get rid of the right of way that's cutting through their path, they're gonna have people, if it was to be used, they would have people within 2 feet of their windows. So 3 feet away or 2 feet away is not gonna be that much of a deal breaker when you got the public right on your property already, if you see what I'm saying.
I do.
So it's not like they're encroaching their house to that side of the property, so a neighbor's gonna be disturbed, because you got the public walking up and down that right of way anyway.
Mhm.
Okay, so I don't know where, in this instance itself, where it's gonna have that much of an adverse effect, since you have that public right of way. And the neighbor on that side's already has undue public going through there. I'm not sure of the right word for that, but this is not a case where you're moving it closer and it's shrinking the yard. That part of the property basically is unusable and has to be maintained for that foot traffic and stuff. So
Okay, so.
I don't see where it's gonna hinder the neighbors no more than what the public is already gonna hinder the neighbors. And, and to have that willingness to go, because I'm assuming that walkway is a 5-foot walkway.
It's
And
really just grass right now.
I think it's
Right.
probably just a
Kind of a
path.
grass.
it's an easement that has to
Yep.
be.
Yeah.
So
So let me ask you this question, Mr. Chair. Anyone else that cares to chip in? How would you address the hardship?
the hardship would be to the size of the lot, and it's the same type of hardship on a lot of the properties that we've allowed to encroach in that section of the weirs through there. I mean, those lots are tinier than a postage stamp, and they're already on top of each other. And I guess people that buy these houses already know their neighbors are, we reach out the window and shake their hands.
Yeah, they're going to get to know them anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of that beast, and that's why it's a recreational type area. So where people are gonna be friendly with each other and they get to know each other.
Okay.
I've only seen one instance, and it was years ago, where one property in that area was down a little further, and the one house wanted to build an upper deck. And the house below had some arguments about it, but I haven't heard anything
Oh,
else
I
from
remember
them.
that.
So, and it was in that same type of neighborhood, you know.
Okay.
It's, to me, in that area, it's already cramped. It's got its parking issues. It's got, it's got everything. I mean, excitement. I wouldn't be surprised if the lot lines are all over the place and,
Yeah.
but that's not for me to,
Yeah, well, that's right.
you know,
It's a
what
tough.
I see is the pluses are you're gonna have a new foundation,
Yep.
so they're gonna clean up a lot of mess there.
Yeah,
And they're gonna have a new house,
yeah,
which is gonna be up to code. And that in itself would be a plus, and it would add value to the neighborhood. So you have another plus there, versus, continually allowing it to run down because you can't do nothing else with it. And if you got to invest a ton of money in trying to get that foundation to where you need it, that in itself is a hardship, because you're going to have to pick the house up. You got to do a lot of extra things that it would make more sense in the long run to put it in a trash can and start anew.
Big rocks.
Yeah, big rocks. You got all kinds of things, versus going out with all brand new stuff.
all right.
I drove past that lot over the weekend, and what they're putting in now is significantly eye pleasing compared to what's already there. If I was their neighbor, I'd be happy.
Who is that?
Jane.
Jane,
Jane? Thank you.
yes.
Okay, like I said, I just read through the application and I'm familiar with the property because of the last time, and I think I just needed to hear what you guys had to say before I'm ready to make up my mind.
It
That's all.
didn't look like, to me, now it's just my opinion, but it didn't look like it was being overly asked for,
Okay.
as far as the size of the house and stuff like that. And the go-to, and he's already going to the expense he indicated, which makes it almost a custom home to have it shrunk. Okay, because a lot of these homes are, the walls and everything are built and they just like put them together and boom, boom, boom. Okay, like an erector set. And in this instance, you're going in and having some walls custom made so that they can get it shrunk down from the lengthsize. So I, the
No, okay.
hardship in itself is the lot and the area that, this is just one of many, many, many houses, properties that's been through the board over the years, trying to accommodate everything and still fit it within that footprint.
If I can just point something out, Mr. Chair, I just did a
Please.
quick on the fly calculation, just to speak to the green space coverage. It's really just cleaning up what's already there, and the percentage difference is about 1%. It's minimal, but
Right.
this language is just to clean that up so that it's clear.
Yeah. And I kind of figured that, because when reducing because he could go further in that rear setback. Now he's not, so that's
He's
added
shifting.
green space we get to add back in. So it's almost going to be net zero, but 1% as was
And
indicated.
that's approximate, like I said, that's quick on
Yeah.
the fly calculation.
So
Okay.
I think I've even made a motion through all of that discussion.
Yeah, I'd like to see, I'd like to hear it restated. But, that's just me. You're the chair.
Uh, The granting, all right, I'll make the motion, if that's all right with everybody. The granting of the variance would not be contrary to public interest because it would make a big improvement in the neighborhood as the house would be removed and a new modular home would be put in place, which would bring it up to the codes and stuff for the city. Um, If the variance were granted, spirit of the ordinance would be observed because it would benefit both the city, the neighborhood, and the property owner, and giving them a more up-to-code living facility to allow them to have the basement area of it reconstructed with a foundation instead of having a rock foundation. If the variance granted, spirit of the ordinance would be observed. The spirit of the ordinance is set up so that you can have a safe living space that would be conducive to the neighborhood. It would help improve the appearance of the neighborhood and encourage people to invest in their property continually. And that would be the same for the substantial justice, as
Right,
it
yeah.
does increase the value of the neighborhood. It'll increase the value of the property, which in return for the city is it'll improve the property tax base for the city by an appropriate amount. So it sounds like a win-win-win for everybody. And the unnecessary hardship is based on within the area and that piece of property due to the size and being able to fit a home on that size that would be appropriate for the area.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Discussion? There being none, I'll call the roll. Gail,
Yep. Yes.
Mike,
Yes, except
Roland,
Yes,
Mike,
Yes.
Steve, yes. Enjoy your new home.
Thank you so much, folks. Appreciate it.
Be in contact with the planning department and they'll take care of and tell you what's gonna go up next, okay?
Super. Thank you so much.
All right, you have a good night.
You too.
Okay. The next application is application Z02021-0004, variance 375 Endicott Street North. It's variant applicant is requesting a variance from Article 6, Section 235-33, maximum residential unit to exceed the permitted 6 units per acre to allow for a future land transfer between two abutting properties. Once again, would the applicant please come introduce yourself for the record and tell us how we can help you.
Hello again, Chris Dupree on behalf of the applicant. And just a little history here to start. For those that have been around for a while, this was the Shangri-La Resort and then later became the Brickyard Mountain Inn. And although somehow the image reversed, I have a picture of what it used to look like in my background tonight. So trying to master this technology, but not all that well. Anyway, so this, the Cedar Lodge folks and the Aqua Vista folks have been having these conversations for a number of years, going back 3 or 4 years, trying to work things out, because when you look at the site plan in the last page of the application, it shows what the engineers have described as kind of a figure-8 ownership of land that currently exists, where Aqua owns land out in front of Cedar Lodge and to the side of Cedar Lodge. And then Cedar Lodge, which has their pool and tennis court amenity, although the tennis court is, I don't really think in a functional state right now, but that's directly in front of the Aqua commercial parcel. And so we have come to an arrangement amongst ourselves to reconfigure these parcels. And this will allow Cedar Lodge to move their amenities up beside their building. So it's a more practical application or use of land for them. And that has been approved by the planning board. It also would clean up several encroachments that currently exist with some portions of Cedar Lodge encroaching on to what is currently Aqua Vista land. And then, make kind of a more logical configuration of the parcels and it doesn't change the density. As you see in the density calculations, Cedar Lodge was a non-conforming use on the density for many years. They have 40 units there, which that will continue to remain as 40 units. When the planning board approved this boundary line adjustment, they are still a non-conforming use. And so what has not occurred is Aqua has not formally deeded any land to Cedar Lodge yet, because we're hoping to get the rights to acquire the land that's shaded in blue on the plan, or that area 4, as it's identified, in front of Aqua Commercial. And again, that would still keep Cedar Lodge as a non-conforming use. As that's been spelled out in the application in that chart that was provided. That's the essence of it. It certainly, assuming we went forward and received the variance and then received boundary line adjustment approval from the planning board, and then actually went forward with the transfer of parcels between the entities, I think it certainly adds value to the Aqua Commercial parcel, because right now, as you can imagine, we're sitting there higher up on the hill, and kind of where the old motel is shown in the background, and it's looking out over Cedar Lodge's pool and tennis court. So how those amenities would be operated in the future, or what's done with that land, would likely have a material impact on the value of the Aqua Commercial site as well. The application spells out the criteria, which I'm sure everybody has read. I can expand on those any further if there are any questions on that, or otherwise any other questions about the application.
Yes, in this application, it says to, I know everything was talked about it, but it's changing the density to exceed the permitted 6 units per acre. And I guess I'm not sure what that's meaning. So if someone would like to clarify that part of this, I would, why are we, if it's a land transfer, why is the density
Their density is going to change because if this land transfer goes through, Cedar Lodge would have less
Less land.
acreage. So it's going to change the density calculation so that even though physically the number of units is not changing, because it's on technically a smaller parcel at that point, their density would change.
Okay.
But some of
This-
that would be mitigated by the exchange of these other two pieces that I look at here. So it'd be to the north of Cedar Lodge there, between the Cedar Lodge and the water tanks. Looks like that would be conveyed to Cedar Lodge.
Yes.
And also a new property line out front. So even as they're losing or exchanging this property where their pool and dilapidated tennis court is, they would be gaining a better frontage to Route 3 and be able to rebuild their amenities to the north of Cedar Lodge, if I'm to understand that correctly.
Thank you for the.
Yeah, I don't think that the Route 3 frontage changes, but what, there is the lot line to the south of the Cedar Lodge building, which would be realigned to, again, clean up another encroachment issue where part of their parking and fencing is currently on Aqua commercial land.
So really, all we're here for is the density,
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
because everything else has already been hashed out.
Yes, and there's really no,
So there's no plan to increase the amount of units or anything like that.
no.
Okay.
Well, you're speaking, is Cedar Lodge on the thing? I know you're speaking for Aqua Vista, right?
I am actually speaking I'm agent for both.
Oh, okay.
But yes, Noel Dulac, I see his name is here. He's president of the Cedar Lodge Unit Owners Association.
Yeah, this is Noel Dulac. And this would clean up the lot lines like Chris has already indicated. There is no goal to increase any units, but it is to reimagine the amenities from in front of Aqua Vista property to a more logical location next to the building for ease of access. Also, there's multiple points of our property where we are encroaching on Aqua for however this was previously divided up. So it's to clean up those lines and then have access to property where we think it makes more sense for us to have our pool and sport court and et cetera. And all of that has already been previously hashed out and both zoning board and planning board approval on the relocation of those amenities, of which we can only do if Aqua agrees, or excuse me, if we get zoning board approval to for this lot line adjustment for that lower lot where our pool is existing. That would kind of clear the way for us to be able to convey that property to Chris and to Aqua Vista, and Aqua Vista to be able to convey the other parcels to Cedar so that we could continue on with our project.
So Dean, it would be in our best interest to condition this, if this is so approved, that the density, they could have that increase in density as long as the property transfer happened,
You could do that.
because this is indicated that it's a future transfer.
Yep,
And
yep.
so
There's
if it
some-
doesn't transfer, they now have the ability to have more dense area.
Yeah, there's several moving parts here and they're all very interrelated, and this is like the final approval that's needed, and we're gonna make sure that it all happens
All the
correctly.
dominoes fall.
Yep, but if you want to put a condition on it that you can't increase the density without doing the land transfer, that's fine.
Okay,
Doesn't change anything, but that's fine.
no. Just changes if it all falls through.
Yep.
Goes back to where it is today. Okay. Any other questions at the moment? There being none, I'd like to open it up to the public and ask if anybody from the public wishes to speak for or against this application. Please tap the raise your hand button on your computer and give the planning director a moment to recognize you. Let the record indicate no one from the public wishes to speak for or against this application. I'll bring it back to the board for further questions. Gail,
I'm good, Mr. Chair.
any closing comments from the applicant?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'm gonna close it to the public and bring it to the board for discussion.
As I read this here, I see this area 4. We reference this area 4. And I'm curious as to what that is, looking through these.
Yeah, I have no
Not
clue what
seeing it.
So it's the-
area
it-
4 is.
It's the part, on one of your plans, it's the part that's shaded blue. You go
Okay.
to the bigger plan, I think, Mike.
So that's area 4.
Yeah.
All right, I see it now. Thank you.
The Cedar Lodge will be giving up that land to Aqua. Aqua is giving other pieces of land up to Cedar Lodge. It's not equal, but
Well-
overall, to everyone's best interest.
Well, that was my question. I'm good.
Gail?
I'm all set. It
Okay.
makes perfect sense to me. It really does.
If there's no further discussion, I'd like to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we grant the density variance request Z020210004 at 375 Endicott Street North. Because granting the variance is not going to be contrary to the public interest. The variance allows a higher density, which will permit the two landowners to pretty much function in the same way. The variance were granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed. The zone allows for this use. Okay, it's just, it's a resort, it's a commercial resort area, or is it? Yeah, it's an allowed use. And I'll go for that with the substantial justice as well. Those two are usually discussed together. If the variance is granted, the virality of the surrounding properties would not be diminished. I can't see how both parties are in agreement. I can't see how there's any diminishment of any surrounding properties. And the unnecessary hardship is, there's no relationship between the general public purpose of what we try to accomplish with zoning and these two lots. They're both going to be used the same way that they're used now. Nothing is changing, and it is a reasonable one.
And we'd like to add that condition.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, and that is conditioned that if the transfer of property does not occur as is iterated in this particular plan, that the density variance is waived. Proceed,
Becomes null and void,
or is null and void, okay.
or cease to exist, or
Yeah.
whatever. legal
Goes bye-bye.
terminology.
However you want to say it.
Ixnay on the aid tray.
Hey, so we got a motion, I think. We got a second.
We need a second. There hasn't been a second.
I'll second that.
We have a second. Discussion of the motion. I think we discussed it. I'll call the roll. Gail,
Yep,
Mike,
Yes, accept this.
Roland,
Yes.
Mike,
Approved.
Steve, yes. Enjoy.
Great, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Any further business? Any words of wisdom from the,
I have a question, Steve.
Yes.
In the past, we've always given extensions for a year. Tonight, we were doing 6 months.
no, it's always been 6 months.
Must be-
We've been trying to get the planning board to see the light to change it to a year. But so far, we've been kept in the dark at 6 months.
It's a year at the planning board and it's 6 months at zoning.
Very
board.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
is that just by code? I mean, is that something you would change, Dean, if?
I believe the 6 months is by state law, if I
Oh,
remember
okay,
correctly,
Okay,
but I will check that.
Anything else? There being none, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Gail?
yep,
Everybody else here raised their hand, so good night.
all right.
Good night.
See you Next month.
Is it-